Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Arvan tells a story. I'm going to talk about China. Officially, the People's Republic of China is a country in East Asia. It is the world's most populous country, with a population of more than 1.4 billion. That's 1.4 billion people. China spans 5 geographical time zones and borders 14 countries, the second most of any country in the world after Russia, covering an area of approximately 9.6 million square kilometers. It is the world's third or fourth largest country. The country consists of 23 provinces, 5 autonomous regions, 4 municipalities, and 2 special administrative regions, Hong Kong and Macau. The national capital is Beijing, and the most populous city and financial center is Shanghai. Modern China traces their origins to a cradle of civilization in the fertile basin of the Yellow River in the North China Plain. The semi-legendary Xia dynasty in the 21st century BCE and the well-attested Shang and Zhou dynasties developed a bureaucratic political system to serve hereditary monarchies or dynasties. China's writing, China's classic literature, and the 100 schools of thought emerged during this period and influenced China and its neighbors for centuries to come in the 3rd century BCE. Qin's Wars of Unification created the first Chinese empire, the short-lived Qin dynasty. The Qin was followed by the more stable Han dynasty, which established a model for nearly 2 millennia in which the Chinese Empire was one of the world's foremost economic powers. The empire expanded, fractured, and reunified, was conquered and reestablished, absorbed foreign religions and ideas, and made world-leading scientific advances, such as the 4 great inventions: gunpowder, paper, the compass, and printing. After centuries of disunion following the fall of the Han, the Sui and Tang dynasties achieved what the Roman Empire could not: reunification of the empire. The multi-ethnic type welcomes foreign trade and culture that came over the Silk Road and adapted Buddhism to China's needs. The early modern Song dynasty became increasingly urban and commercial. The civilian, scholar, official, or literary used the examination system and the doctrines of Neo-Confucianism to replace the military aristocrats of earliest dynasties. The Mongol invasion established the Yuan dynasty in 1279, but the Ming dynasty re-established Han Chinese control. The Manchu-led Qing dynasty nearly doubled the empire's territory and established a multi-ethnic state that was the basis of the modern Chinese nation, but suffered heavy losses to foreign imperialism in the 19th century. The Chinese monarchy collapsed in 1912 with the Xinhai Revolution, when the Republic of China replaced the Qing dynasty. In its early years of the Republic, the country became unstable, known as the Warlord era, before reunifying the nation in 1928 under the nationalist government, while the alliance between the Kuomintang and the Chinese Communist Party had fallen apart. That led to a civil war that lasted 2 decades. Japan invaded China in 1937, starting the Second Sino-Japanese War and temporarily halting the Civil War. The surrender and expulsion of Japanese forces from China in 1945 left a power vacuum in the country. which led to renewed fighting between the CCP and the Kuomintang. The Civil War ended in 1949. With the division of China's territory, the CCP established the People's Republic of China on the mainland, while the Kuomintang-led ROC government retreated to the island of Taiwan. Both claimed to be the sole legitimate government of China. Although the United Nations has recognized the PRC as the sole representation since 1971, from 1959 to 1961, the PRC implemented an economic and social campaign called the Great Leap Forward that resulted in an estimated 15 to 55 million deaths. Mostly through starvation, China conducted a series of economic reforms since 1978 and entered into the World Trade Organization in 2001. China is currently governed as a unitary one-party socialist republic by the CCP. China is a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council and a founding member of several multilateral and regional cooperation organizations such as the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the Silk Road Fund, the New Development Bank, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the RCEP, and is a member of the BRICS. The G8 plus 5 and the G20 and the APEC and the East Asia Summit. It ranks among the lowest in international measurements of civil liberties, government transparency, freedom of the press, freedom of religion and ethnic minorities. The Chinese authorities have been criticized by political dissidents and human rights activists for widespread human rights abuses, including political repression, mass censorship, mass surveillance of their citizens, and violent suppression of protests. China is the world's largest economy by GDP by purchasing power parity, the second largest economy by nominal GDP, and the second wealthiest country. The country is one of the fastest growing major economies and is the world's largest manufacturer and exporter. China is a recognized nuclear weapon state with the world's largest standing army by military personnel and second largest defense budget. China is considered to be a potential superpower due to its large markets, growing military strength, economic potential, and influence in international affairs. Let's move on to history. Archaeological evidence suggests that early hominids inhabited China 2.25 million years ago. The hominid fossils of Peking man, a Homo erectus who used a fire, were discovered in a cave in Zucoidian near Beijing. They had been dated to between 680,000 and 780,000 years ago. The fossilized teeth of Homo sapiens dated to 125,000 until 8,000 years ago, had been discovered in Fuyan Cave in Dao County, Hunan. China's proto-writing existed in Jiahu around 6,600 BCE, at Damedi around 6,000 BCE, Dariwan from 5,800, and Banpo dating from the 5 millennium BCE. Some scholars have suggested that the Jiahu symbols constituted the early China's writing system. According to Chinese tradition, the first dynasty was the Xia, which emerged around 2100 BCE. The Xia dynasty marked the beginning of China's political system based on hereditary monarchies or dynasties, which lasted for a millennium. The Xia dynasty was considered mythical by historians until scientific Excavations found early Bronze Age sites in Litu, Henan in 1959. The Warring States period ended in 221 BCE after the states of Qin conquered the other six kingdoms, reunited China and established the dominant order of autocracy. King Zheng of Qin proclaims himself the first emperor of the Qin dynasty. He enacted Qin's legalist reforms throughout China, notably the forced standardization of Chinese characters, measurements, road weights, and currency. His dynasty also conquered the Yu tribes in Guangxi, Guangdong, and Vietnam. The Qin dynasty lasted only 15 years, falling soon after the first emperor's death as his heart's authoritarian policies led to widespread rebellion. In the medium 19th century, the Qing dynasty experiences Western imperialism and the Opium Wars with Britain and France. China was forced to pay compensation over treaty ports, allow extraterritoriality for foreign nationals, and cede Hong Kong to the British under the 1842 Treaty of Nanking. The first of the unequal treaties, the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 until 1895, resulted in King China's loss of influence in the Korean peninsula, as well as the cession of Taiwan to Japan. The Qing dynasty also began experiencing internal unrest in which tens of millions of people died, especially in the White Lotus Rebellion, the failed Taiping Rebellion that revenged southern China in the 1850s and 1860s, and the Dun'an Revolt in the northwest. The initial success of the self-strengthening movement of the 1860s was frustrated by a series of military defeats in the 1880s and 1890s. On 1st January 1912, the Republic of China was established and Sun Yat-sen of the Kuomintang, the KMT or Nationalist Party, was proclaimed provisional president. On 12th of February 1912, Regent Empress Dowager Longyu sealed the imperial abdication decree on behalf of 4-year-old Puyi, the last emperor of China, ending 5,000 years of monarchy in China. In March 1912, the presidency was given to Yuan Shikai, a former king general who in 1915 proclaimed himself emperor of China. In the face of popular condemnation and opposition from his own young army, he was forced to abdicate and re-establish the republic in 1916. Before the extension of the People's Republic, the CCP had declared several areas of the country as the Chinese Soviet Republic. A predecessor state of the PRC in November 1931 in region Jiangxi. The Jiangxi Soviet was wiped out by the KMT armies in 1934 and was relocated to Yan'an in Shanxi, where the Long March concluded in 1935. It would be the best of the communists before major combat in the China Civil War ended in 1949. Afterwards, the CCP gained control of most of mainland China, and the Kuomintang retreating offshore to Taiwan, reducing its territory to only Taiwan, Hainan, and their surrounding islands. After Mao's death, the Gang of Four was quickly arrested by Hua Guofeng and held responsible for the excesses of the Cultural Revolution. Elder Deng Xiaoping took power in 1978 and instituted significant economic reforms. The CCP loosened governmental control over citizens, personal lives, and the communists were gradually disbanded in favor of working contracted to household. This marked China's transition from a plain economy to a mixed economy with an increasingly open market environment. China adopted its current constitution on 4 of December 1982. In 1989, the suppression of student protests in Tiananmen Square brought condemnations and sanctions against the Chinese government from various foreign countries. Let's move on to economy. Since 2010, China has had the world's second largest economy in terms of nominal GDP, totaling approximately $18 trillion. As of 2021, in terms of purchasing power parity or GDP PPP, China's economy has been the largest in the world since 2014, according to the World Bank. China is also the world's fastest growing major economy. According to the World Bank, China's GDP grew from 150 billion in 1978 to 14.28 trillion by 2019. China's economic growth has been consistently above 6% since the introduction of economic reforms in 1978. China is also the world's largest exporter and second largest importer of goods. Between 2010 and 2019, China's contribution to global GDP growth has been 25% to 39%. It is the largest engine of global growth for the world economy, accounting for 25 until 30% global total expansion since the financial crisis of 2008 until 2009. As of 2021, China accounts for 80% of the world economy by GDP nominal. China had one of the largest economies in the world for most of the past 2,000 years, during which it has seen cycle of prosperity and decline. Since economic reforms began in 1978, China has developed into a highly diversified economy and one of the most consequential players in international trade. Major sectors of competitive strength include manufacturing, retail, mining, steel, textiles, automobiles, energy generation, green energy, and etc. China has 3 out of the 10 largest stock exchanges in the world: Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Shenzhen, that together had a market capitalization of over 15.9 trillion as of October 2020. Wow. China has 4 Shanghai, Hong Kong, Beijing, and Shenzhen out of the world's top 10 most competitive financial centers, which is more than any country in the 2020 Global Financial Centers Index. By 2035, China's 4 cities, Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, are projected to be among the global top 10 largest cities by nominal GDP, according to a report by Oxford Economics. China has been the world's #1 manufacturer since 2010, after overtaking the US, which had been #1 for the previous 100 years. China has also been #2 in high-tech manufacturing since 2012, according to US National Science Foundation. China is the second largest retail market in the world, next to the United States. China leads the world in e-commerce, accounting for 40% of the global market share in 2016 and more than 50% of the global market share in 2019. China is the world leader in electric vehicles, manufacturing and buying half of all the plug-in electric cars in the world in 2018. China is also the leading producer of batteries for electric vehicles, as well as several key raw materials for batteries. China had 174 GW of installed solar capacity by the end of 2018, which amounted to more than 40% of the global solar capacity. Foreign and some Chinese sources have claimed that official Chinese government statistics overstate China's economic growth. However, guys, several Western academics and institutions have stated that China's economic growth is higher than indicated by official figures. Others, such as the Economist Intelligence Unit, state that while there's evidence China's GDP data is skewed, that believe that China's nominal and real GDP data are broadly accurate. China has a large informal economy, which arose as a result of the country's economy opening. The informal economy is a source of employment and income for workers, but it is unrecognized and suffers from lower productivity. Okay, just it about China, guys. Thank you for watching. See you soon in another video. Bye.